Hello everyone and welcome to Sardegna A for round 2 of the Gavra Racing GT7 Championship. We're here for the second round of the season, but the first sprint race of the season which we're just about to kick off. Without further ado, let's go through the sprint race procedures. It's a 20-minute sprint with the top 7 being reversed from the qualifying session that previously was held before this. So let's go through the grid for the sprint race, starting on pole position. So qualifying in 7th place, myself, X90G, in the McLaren on the front row of the grid, and alongside me is Cameron Kaboom, who starts in 6th for the main race. On 3rd place, we've got Dan Schneider in the Porsche, and alongside him on the 2nd row is replacement Atom Grin in for the Doctor for tonight's race. We've got Piero in 5th place, qualified 3rd in the main race. Alongside him, Play Dutchy starting in 6th, and in 7th place, who will take the pole position for the feature race, Bon Evil in the Alfa Romeo. Just missing out on the top 7, Toussaint in the Mercedes will start in 8th place. Alongside him in 9th, Wiggly Style in the Toyota. Behind him, Black Country Mush in the Mercedes, followed by Wolfie in 11th place. Tiger Assassin down in 12th place, but with an injury sustained to his finger. And alongside him, we have Aston F1 in the Ford GT. Rounding out the back of the grid, we've got the Scout Dan in the Coca-Cola Ferrari. And behind him, last but not least in the Mitsubishi, we have Ted MC. That is the grid for the sprint race. Interestingly, Ted's reverse lights are on, so let's just hope he doesn't go backwards off the start. There's no way he can go backwards. He's at the back of the grid. We've got 20 minutes of racing here at Sardegna A. Let's get this race underway to 3, 4, 5 red lights here in Italy for round 2, the first sprint race of the season. It's lights out and away we go. The McLaren leads the field away from pole position, but a good start from Cameron Kaboom draws him alongside. Look at the start from Bon Evil in the Alfa Romeo from 7th up to 3rd place already. By the time we head in towards turn 1, Cameron Kaboom in the lead with the outside line, but Natty keeping it on the inside, maintains the lead of the race. Bon Evil up into 3rd place, maybe challenging for 2nd as he's looking on the back with Cameron Kaboom in the background. Tim to 4th, Toussaint already up to 5th place ahead of Dan Schneider. Piero down to 7th place, and Dutchy dropping a position or 2 down into 8th. Meanwhile, 3 wide in towards turn 4. Aston's off in the background in the Ford GT. Bon Evil's into the grass. Not sure if that was contact. He's dropped back down into 6th place. Dan Schneider up to 5th. Toussaint already up into 4th place, gaining 4 positions on the opening lap. Ted and Aston in the background going side by side. Tim trying to hold it round the outside of Toussaint, who's looking for a move on the inside. As they head now down the back straight in towards turn number 9, one of the key overtaking opportunities at this circuit. Here goes Cameron Kaboom looking for a move on the left hand side of the circuit, right hand side of the screen. It's the inside line for the hairpin at turn 9. Toussaint also going for a move on Tim, 2 by 2 in the battle for the lead of the race. Looks like Black Country Mush, I think, was a little bit deep, allowing Wolfie to go through up the inside, but it's Natalie who still leads this race after starting on pole position as they now make their way through the first swooping left-hander of turn 13. Looks like the majority of the field have made it through cleanly. Tim onto the grass as he concedes the position to Toussaint. It goes down the inside. Dutchy going to make it 3 wide and poke his Porsche on the inside. And Schneider trying to find a move on the outside. Piero running wide onto the grass. Could leave himself vulnerable to the Toyota of Wiggly Style behind him. But they round the final corner, turn 15 of this circuit. And 1 minute 50 seconds later, they have completed lap 1. With Nat in the lead, followed by Cameron Kaboom in 2nd, Toussaint 3rd, followed by Dutchy under pressure from Tim in 4th and 5th. These two now going to go side by side and towards turn 1. Tim's late on the brakes, thought it was going to go into the back of the Mercedes in front, but he's made the move stick on the Dutchman behind Bon Evil, looking to try and make up ground, qualifying on pole position, but starting down in 7th place. He's going to go 3 wide with the Mercedes, with the McLaren and the Porsche. Can he gain 2 positions in one corner? He's found one on Dutchy. Can he find another on Tim? He's going to try and swoop it to the outside of turn 4. And what a beautiful move that was from Bon Evil. 2 positions, 2 corners, makes it look easy in the Alfa Romeo. In the background, Dan Schneider ahead of Piero, who's under pressure from Wolfie. Someone's wide, that's Wiggly Style, I think, running a little bit wide through turn 6. I heard someone smash into the barrier. I'm not sure if that was Dan Schneider, maybe Aston as Ted rounding out 15th place. But Natty trying to put Cameron Kaboom under pressure, looking for a move around the outside. Cameron goes defensive at turn 9, the hairpin at this track. Someone's drifting, someone's round. That's Piero in the background. I'm not sure if he's got any damage. Tiger Assassin's up into 9th place. Piero side by side with Wiggly Style up the hill in towards turn 12 and 13. Piero now down to 10th place in this race. Points on offer for the top 6 or 7, I believe. I can't actually remember what the point system are for the sprint races. This Tiger's going for a move on the inside of Wolfie, and he makes his way up into 8th place, gaining another position in the race. Natty's dropped to 4th place after losing positions to Toussaint and Bon Evil, now under pressure from Play Dutchy. Someone you don't exactly want to have behind you in a race, whether it's a feature or a sprint, but Cameron Kaboom with a little bit of breathing space, not by much though, because they're going to go 3 wide in the background. Bon Evil, Natty and Toussaint side by side. Natty on the marbles, costing him position to Tim, who's lost it and dropped it on the exit of turn 1. He's facing the wrong way in the barrier. Mush drifting through turn 2, it seems, as he fights away past Wiggly Style, down up into 11th place ahead of Wolfie in this monumental battle for 9th place. Meanwhile, the battle for the lead is still quite spicy, with Cameron Kaboom leading the way, purple to the first sector. Bon Evil under a lot of pressure from Toussaint, but that Alfa Romeo has got a significant straight line speed advantage and is probably the favourite car for this circuit. Bon Evil just confirming my own rules that the top 6 do get points, as he's going to go for a move down the inside in towards turn 9. Late on the brakes, Cameron Kaboom's going to try and hold it on the outside, but can't quite keep the move and keep the position, and Bon Evil makes the move up into the lead of the race. Qualified first, started in 7th, dropped down to I think 8th or something, but he's back up into first place after 3 late racing laps in this 20-minute sprint. I am aware the timer isn't on the screen, but if you look in the bottom left, you can see how long we've been racing for, and when that hits 20, that will be the final lap of the race. But look at this train of cars, the top 7 separated by not much at all in this race, and Tiger Assassin leading the second train as such, being under pressure from Piero, Black Country Mush, Wiggly Style, Dan Schneider, Aston, Wolfie and Tim. Ted has disconnected after 5 minutes of racing. We're down to 14 runners left in the race. Dan Schneider under pressure from Marcus Armstrong as Dutchy's putting Toussaint under a bit of pressure as they go in towards turn 4, side by side between the Mercedes and the Porsche, the 2 German manufacturers, wheel to wheel on lap 4, turn 4. The position to the battle not to be in 4th place. Dutchy now to the inside at turn 6. Can he make this move stick? Toussaint being forced wide onto the marbles. That's not exactly where you want to be if you've made it stick, using the downforce of the Mercedes and the straight line speed that it now has over the Porsche. Meanwhile, back up in front, Cameron Kaboom trying to do his best to keep up with Bon Evil. Maybe go for a move to the inside. Not on this occasion. Dutchy late on the brakes to the inside. A little bit of contact between the two. And as the Toussaint keeps the position, Dutchy tucks in behind, but is bringing Dan Schneider, Natty and Tiger Piero with him. In the background, Black Country Mush, Wiggly Style, Dan and Aston also keeping up with the front runners as Dutchy goes wide onto the grass. That allows Dan Schneider to go through on the left hand side. Now Natty to the inside, capitalising on the Dutchman's mistake. They're going to go wheel to wheel through the penultimate corner. Dutchy dipping the wheel onto the grass and concedes 4th place, down to 6th, sorry. Dan Schneider now up into 4th. Toussaint keeping the final spot on the podium for now. What about Cameron Kaboom? Can he make moves on Bon Evil? The gap about 7/10 of a second as they go in towards turn 1 for the 5th time this race. Dutchy to the inside of the McLaren. The bright orange Porsche making moves into 5th place in this race after 7 minutes of racing. Piero keeping up with the back of Tiger Assassin. Looks like Mush and Wiggly Style having a battle for 9th place. Mercedes driver trying to get ahead of the Toyota that excels in straight line speed. Can he go for it in towards turn 4? Not on this occasion. Halfway through lap 5, and it's a Brit 1, 2, 3 followed by a Dutch 4, 5 and a Brit 6, 7. Nearly well, the top 7 dominated by the British and the Dutch. Bon Evil makes a point in the chat. Where are the other graphics? I don't know. Oh, there they are. You can see the throttle brake inputs and the tyre wear. Everyone on the soft compound tyre for the sprints. No need to make any mandatory pit stops or no mandatory tyre. The tyre wear was slightly, has been reduced to ×2 compared to ×4 that we usually run in the league. Sardegna A, it's a very low deg circuit, not many corners that make the tyres scream. That looked like someone was in the wall. Looks like Tiger Assassin going a little bit too deep in towards the penultimate corner. That's left himself vulnerable to Piero's McLaren. He's going to try and go around the outside in towards the final corner. Should set the McLaren up well for a nice run down the back straight. I was going to go to ride on board with Piero, but there's no point because he's already alongside. You can't see the Porsche if you ride on board with him, but now it's there in the rear view mirrors. Tiger dropping down to 8th place, Piero making moves up to 7th place. Piero was showing good pace in qualifying, starting in 3rd place, but obviously that demoted him to 5th place for the sprint race. We'll start in 3rd for the feature race, but is unable to make as quicker moves as others have in this race. Bon Evil from 7th to 1st, Toussaint from 8th to 3rd, Tiger from 12th to 8th. But Piero just struggling to pick up the pace. Was I think ran a little bit wide on lap 2, I think it was, down at the hairpin of lap 6, but we're nearly halfway through the sprint race. I can't see what the timer says because someone's commenting in the chat, so I can't see the time. Dutchy now going for a move on the inside of Dan Schneider, nearly hits the back of Toussaint. That was close, but he's made the move stick on his fellow Dutch companion up into 4th place. Dan Schneider down to 5th. Will do his best to keep up with the other Porsche. Hello and welcome to everyone tuning in. Apologies for the delay in the stream. This race actually didn't take place last week. This is a replay. It's been so busy this last week. Dan Schneider sideways through the penultimate corner. That could leave him vulnerable to the New Zealander McLaren. As Bon Evil continues to extend his lead in this race, currently setting 1 minute 40 consecutively with the fastest lap of the race. Gapping Cameron Caboon behind, who's running a good race in 2nd place. Toussaint now under pressure from Dutchy in 4th. Behind them, Dan Schneider, Natty not too far behind. Piero still ahead of Tiger Assassin, Black Country Professional style, keeping up with these guys. Dan Schneider, Scout Dan, Aston and Tim. The top 13 are still really close to one another. You can see on the mini-map in the top right, Bonnie's only going through, or just about approaching turn 6, and the back markers are going through turn 4. Only 2 corners separating 14 cars at this circuit. Obviously that would be more significant if it was, I don't know, Special Stage Route X, where there's about 2 miles between turn 1 and turn 2. But Dutchy's got a good run on the Mercedes down the back straight through turn 7 and 8 in towards the hairpin of turn 9. Toussaint defends the inside line, and Dutchy tries the good old switcheroo, go wide, cut inside and get a good run up the hill through the kink of 7, the right hander of 8, not 8, 10 and 11, sorry, the fast left hander of turn 13, and the final 2 corners, 14, 15. This track does have 15 corners according to the game. Natty looking for a move on Dan Schneider, deciding against that lunge to the inside. Approaching the 12-minute mark, so 8 minutes remain as Bon Evil starts lap number 8. Tiger Assassin in 8th place behind Piero. We'll be looking to try and maybe work with Piero possibly to try and catch up to the top 6. Points awarded for the top 6. If Dutch is going to go for a move to the inside, Toussaint doesn't defend it on this time. This lap round, Dutch dipping a wheel onto the gravel. That's going to cost him in towards turn 3. The run down towards 4. Someone's wide. I think that was Cameron Caboon dipping the wheel onto the gravel. But now Dutch is up into 3rd place in a podium position. Will be taking home 6 points by the end of the sprint if he can keep 3rd place. Now Dan Schneider looking for a move on Toussaint. But not this time around. Dan Schneider trying to just set himself up maybe for a move into the hairpin. That's right on board with the Dutchman inside the cockpit of the Porsche. He's got Natty, you can see in the TV screen behind him, gaining all the time with the slipstream effect down towards turn 9. Dan Schneider also in the slipstream himself behind Toussaint. He's going to go for a move on the inside, not on this occasion. Also just covering off the McLaren behind. Toussaint's gone a little bit deep, but the wider line should keep him ahead of Dan Schneider. It's very difficult to go for a move and not make the move down at the hairpin, because if you're side by side, you then leave yourself side by side up the hill in towards a fast swooping left-hander of turn 13. It is definitely possible to go side by side through that corner, but you do lose a lot of time, and it does take a lot of trust in both drivers if you want to go wheel to wheel through the final sector. Completely flat out in these cars through the final corner, flat to the floor as they build up speeds up to 160 miles per hour up the slight hill in towards turn 1 for the 9th time in this sprint race. Cameron Kaboom struggling to keep up with Bon Evil, though he's doing a good job to keep Dutchy, Toussaint, Dan Schneider and Natty behind at some distance just out the slipstream, which will probably be frustrating Dutchy a little bit. Dutchy from 6th to 3rd. It's been a good showing from the quick qualifiers who started towards the back of the field. Let's check up with the back of the field. Tiger Assassin just being dropped a little bit by here, about 9/10 to a second. Meanwhile, Black Country Mush under pressure from Wiggly Star as Tim has got ahead of the Scout Down, will be ahead of Aston. The 4GT rounding out the back of the grid. It's getting a little bit overcast in this race, but there's a 0% chance of rain. Here goes Toussaint, looking to make his day a little bit brighter with a move down the inside of a 4-time GT Sport champion, but Dutchy with the cornering speed of the Porsche is able to keep it round the outside of the Mercedes. These four drivers they've been so close to each other for the last 15 minutes that when you think about it, we've still got 29 laps of racing to go for the feature race that follows. Don't go anywhere, because in 5 minutes time the checkered flag will be dropped, but the 5 red lights will also be going out once again for the feature race, where Bon Evil will be starting on pole position. He started this race in 7th place because it's a reverse top 7, and he's been leading since lap 3. So we could be in for a dominant performance. What will the drivers behind have to say about that? We'll have to wait and see what performance they can put in for the feature race. But Dutchy ahead of Toussaint, ahead of Dan Schneider. Natty just starting to drop off this battle a little bit. Tyre wear fairly similar after 10 laps of racing and reduced tyre wear. Dan Schneider trying to go to the outside of Toussaint, who's going defensive in towards turn 6. It's pretty hard to go around the outside down at turn 6, but Dan Schneider's going to set himself up for a move in towards the hairpin. I'm sure Toussaint's going to have that inside line covered if he wants to defend his position. Indeed, he moves over to the left hand side of the white line, braking for the hairpin. He's gone deep, he's gone wide. Dan Schneider with the switchback cuts inside, gets the run up the hill. These two side by side, but Dan Schneider just gets ahead of the Mercedes. Toussaint drops down to 6th place. And, well, wouldn't you know, Toussaint next with a car behind him, Premier Series rival, ex-Natty G. What can he say about the car in front? Can he find a way through? Toussaint will be probably turning his attention to try and make his way forward in the remaining 3 minutes of this race. It's about 2 laps. But it all depends on when Bon Evil crosses that start-finish line. Cameron Kaboom being closed up by Play Dutchy. The 4-way fight for 3rd has now become a 5-way fight for 2nd place. Maybe Cameron Kaboom's been just taking it a little bit easy in these last few laps, although has gone 1 second slower on lap 10, a 141.8 compared to a 140.8. 2 laps to go, so maybe a mistake But there's not long left in this race for him to try and keep second place. Dan Schneider, Toussaint, Natty, all keeping up in this train of cars. Piero out of the slipstream, hasn't been able to fight it's kind of a similar track to Tokyo Expressway in the sense that if you're in the slipstream, you're going to benefit from the tow, and it's going to be quite tough for you to close down the car in front. They're being towed along by another car, especially if that car in front is a car such as the Alfa Romeo that's much quicker in a straight line. And something that's quite noticeable about this track is if you start to battle, you do lose quite a lot of time. Speaking of, Cameron Kaboom side by side with Clay Dutchin towards the penultimate corner. Dutchy swoops round the outside, and a beautifully executed move from the Dutchman, but will be under pressure down the long start-finish straight. To the final corner they go, fast, flat-out right-hander in the Lexus. Cameron Kaboom pulls alongside of the Porsche. It's a drag race to the line, but it's not quite the final lap of the race just yet. Dutchy now to the inside, in towards turn one. Cameron Kaboom's going to try and fight this round the outside. Does he brake early? Does he brake late? He goes a little bit wider to try and get the run through the right-hander of two, the left-hander of three. Cameron Kaboom trying to set up Dutchy on a plate, and look at that, he's sussed out Dutchy to the inside. It's going to be quite tough to make a move stick round the outside of turn 5. If he can make this stick, that'd be pretty impressive considering the car in front of him. Play Dutchy. Is he going for a move? Not just yet, he's going to wait for the heavy braking zone at turn 9. Or maybe he's going to go for it now. With a gap on the inside, Dutchy's out of shape. Here comes Dan Schneider, Cameron Kaboom up into second place. And with 30 seconds left of racing, this will be the final lap of the race. Cameron Kaboom defensive to the inside, Dutchy dropping 2 positions down into 4th place with his Dutch rival side by side, 3 wide in towards the final corner. But look at this, Natty launching the one to the inside of Toussaint. Cameron Kaboom out of shape, Dan Schneider from 4th to 2nd place. Dutchy's dropped to 4th on the final lap. Cameron Bonhimel making his way through the final couple of corners. But Dan Schneider with a beautiful move to the inside. The last overtaking opportunity, unless there's a launch into the final corner. Dutchy sends one to the inside. Cameron Kaboom will be going wider to get a good run down the back straight at the start finish straight. Bonhimel round to the final corner. He wins the sprint after starting in 7th place. Dan Schneider will take 2nd place, but Dutchy's under pressure. It's his podium at risk. It's a drag race to the line. Lexus v Porsche. Dutchy takes 3rd ahead of Cameron Kaboom in 4th. Toussaint in 5th, beating Natty in 6th. Piero in 7th, ahead of Tiger in 8th, Wiggly Style in 9th, Black Country Mush in 10th, Attengren in 11th after his spin in turn 1 on lap 3. Aston will finish this race in 12th place, ahead of Wolfie in 13th, and the Scout Down not too far behind in 14th. But what a dramatic end to the sprint race. Bonhimel taking maximum points, and I've lost. Ooh. Give me 2 seconds. Something tells me I'm going to have to take multiple drink breaks in this race. What an end to the sprint. Bonhimel taking the win. A dominant performance from him. Dan Schneider from 4th to 2nd on the final lap of the race. Play Dutchy just beating Cameron Kaboom to the line in 3rd. So then without further ado, let's get into the feature race. So the feature race, ×4 tyre, we're back to usual. What else was I going to say? Oh yes, the qualifying. Let's go through the grid quickly. The actual grid. So the actual qualifying grid that the drivers qualified in. So we've got, let's get the graphics up on the screen so we can see everything. No, let's go from the back to the front because we don't usually do that. The Scout Down will start in 14th place, behind Aston F1 in 13th. Tiger Assassin qualified in 12th place with Wolfie in 11th. Black Country Mush in 10th, Wiggly Style in 9th. Toussaint in 8th place with Natty in 7th. Cameron Kaboom in 6th place alongside Dan Schneider in 5th. Atom in 4th with Piero in 3rd. And the front row, Play Dutchy in 2nd with ART and Bonhimel claiming pole position. It was pole in Austria, and it's pole in Sardegna. Can Bon Evil make it two? No, I was going to say 2 from 2, but he didn't win in the Red Bull Ring. Anyway, 5 red lights for round 2 here at Sardegna Road Track A, and it's lights out, and away we go for the second time tonight. Bon Evil leading the field away already by about a second off the line. Piero getting the jump on Dutchy in the Porsche with its slow starts up into third, down to third place. Tim into fourth, Dan Schneider and Bon Evil. Cameron Kaboom's trading positions in the back of the grid. Whitley start up into 8th place. A poor start. Contact as Natty sent into a half spin, and Aston's off in the wall. Not a great start for Aston with Dan Schneider. Two Saint going side by side. Dutchy and Tim wheel to wheel in the run down towards turn 4. Piero trying to hold it around the outside. 3 wide temporarily between the 3 cars. Dutchy and Piero still side by side, and Schneider and Cameron Kaboom now wheel to wheel as Natty's dropped down to 11th place in this race behind Black Country Mush. Can't quite remember who the contact was with, but Dan Schneider, Cameron Kaboom side by side. Wolfie and Wiggly side by side in the battle for 8th place behind them. Tiger, Natty and Black Country Mush meanwhile towards the front of the field. Tim up into 2nd place, Dutchy side by side with Piero in towards turn 9. Cameron on the inside of Dan. Natty's gone wide, taking a scenic route off the Sardegna Sea. But will-to-will action towards the back of the field. Dan Schneider dropping down to 11th place. Natty down to 12th. Not a good start for those two. Piero wide onto the grass. Contact with Toussaint. And their battles for 4th and 5th place. As Toussaint now with the inside line on Piero. The McLaren goes wide, deep onto the grass. Tiger's been hit by Black Country Mush in the run down towards turn 14. He's dropped all the way down to 12th place. No damage to the Porsche. Black Country now going side by side with Piero in towards the final corner. They run a little bit wide. Here comes Natty, wheel to wheel with Piero. Are these two going to go 3 wide? They're going to go 3 wide in towards turn 1. Natty, Piero in the middle, in towards turn 1. Mush has dropped from 8th to 10th in this battle, with Piero now up to 7th. Natty up into 8th after being in 12th place a lap ago. But Bon Evil leads the field away at the end of lap 1, followed by Tim in 2nd, Dutch in 3rd, and Toussaint in 4th, Cameron Kaboom in 5th. Wolfie up into 6th place in the Alfa Romeo. Piero and Natty in 7th and 8th. And look at this battle for 7th place. A train of cars led by Piero, Natty, Dan Schneider, Wiggly and Tiger trying to make up for a bad start to this race. But Natty and Dan once 11th and 12th, now 8th and 10th. A lap later, Toussaint and Cameron Kaboom side by side, and they run down towards turn 9. The Lexus on the inside of the Mercedes should make this move stick, with having had the inside line, with also being ahead does get the move stick, as that's Black Country Mush onto the grass, round out the hairpin of turn 9, rejoins the track out safely ahead of Tiger Assassin, who this time does have damage into the wall. Then that's 2 crashes in 2 laps for Tiger Assassin. Not a horror start for him in this race, starting in 12th, taken out not once but twice by none other than Black Country Mush. I'm sure the stewards will be looking at that one as Bon Evil leads the field away to start lap 3 of 28. Wolfie up into 5th place, Piero up into 6th, sorry, as Cameron Kaboom's made a mistake and he's down to 8th place side by side with Dan Schneider, the Lexus and the Porsche. Look at the damage sustained to that Lexus after hitting the barriers at turn 13. Here goes Piero with looking for a move on the inside of Wolfie, late on the brakes in towards turn 1. The McLaren making the move on the Alfa Romeo. Natty taking air on the curb, on the exit curb of turn 1 on the outside. Lucky not to end up in the gravel as the BWT Porsche looks to try and make a move on the New Zealand McLaren. Meanwhile up front, Toussaint finding himself in a little bit of no man's land early on in this race. Clean air in front, clean air behind. As up front he's got Dutchy and Tim fighting for 2nd place. The McLaren trying to hold off the Porsches. They make their way down towards turn 9. Is Dutchy going to look for a move, send one to the inside? Not on this occasion, but they can still see the Alfa Romeo. Bon Evil is in reach. What about Dan Schneider defending the inside to Cameron Kaboom? He keeps 8th place for now, but they've got a quick, rapid, wiggly start as Black Country Mush makes its way down the inside of the Scout Dan, who appeared to have ran a little bit wide down at turn 9. Piero running a little bit wide onto the grass. That could leave himself vulnerable to the rapid Alfa Romeo behind. Piloted by Wolfie, a Group B champion from Season 4. Beating out his teammate Ted to the championship. A very dominant season. Now running in 6th place within the big boys. And he'd find another position in this race. Tim just dropping off the back of Play Dutchies. Wolfie, is he going to work with Piero or against him? Piero not choosing to defend the inside. Wolfie not choosing to go for the move. Natty 7th, headed down in 8th. Cameron Kaboom in 9th. Wiggly Star keeping up with these guys in 10th place. It's got down, not too far behind either in the Ferrari. Black Country Mush runs in 14th place behind Tiger Assassin in 13th. Aston in 12th. Tim has lost quite a lot of time. 1:42.7 on the last lap compared to Dutchie's 1:41.3. Not sure whether there was a mistake, but he's now vulnerable to Saint behind. Meanwhile, Cameron Kaboom and Dan Schneider going side by side through the back straight. It's not exactly a straight, but Dan defensive to the inside. Cameron's going to try and work it round the outside. He's late on the brakes, leaves the door wide open for Dan Schneider to slip one back up the inside and maintain 8th place in this race. And he's brought Wiggly Style along with him, almost pushing the Lexus up the hill. The two Japanese manufacturers fighting for 9th place, bouncing around on the circuit. Wiggly's got a little bit wide, missing the apex. It's cost him a little bit of time to Dan Schneider in front. Piero leading this train of cars. Wolfie smashing into the outside barrier, just misjudging his run towards the final corner slightly, but Wolfie ahead of Natty, Dan, Cameron Kaboom, Wiggly Style, this massive train of cars leading in towards turn 1. Bon Evil, look at the margins, look at the gap that he's got to Play Dutchie already in this race, starting on the medium compound tyres, 7 minutes into this race, already approaching the chicane of turn 4 and 5. You can see Play Dutchie, the bright orange Porsche. If you can't see him, well, he's definitely going to stand out in night races. Tim and Toussaint fighting for 3rd place, final podium spot. McLaren's got a poor run through turn 5. Toussaint's seen a gap on the inside in towards turn 6 and makes them all done. Makes the move stick up into 3rd place. Piero, Wolfie being drawn into this battle, closing all the time. You do lose quite a lot of time when you go side by side at this circuit. It might not look like it, but when you see the delta, it's quite surprising. Actually, you do lose quite a bit of time going side by side. I know that can be said for a lot of other tracks, but this is a pretty simple circuit on the scale of simplicity. Has quite a few drivers getting caught out in the dirty air perhaps. Tim wide, just managing to hold it, loses the position to Piero, drops now down to 5th place in between the McLaren and the Alfa Romeo. But there's a huge train of cars, all different cars, different shapes, different colours, different nationalities. We've got Brits, Dutch, French, Finnish, Irish, Swedish as well, rounding out the grid. So good to see so much diversity on the grid in both cars, livery, nationalities, everything, you name it. Tim going for a move on Wolfie as Natty's trying to defend the inside from Dan Schneider, keeps 7th place. But now Tim out of shape on the exit of turn 1, getting a little bit loosey-goosey as a fellow co-commentator Thunder 50/50 would say. That all the way back in season 1. Dan Schneider now to the inside of Natty and the McLaren, these two side by side. Natty getting boxed in perhaps behind Wolfie, who's gone wide. There's someone else out of shape. Tim's out of shape on the exit of 5. Wolfie in the middle of the track, kind of debating who to give the slipstream to, whether he wants Natty or Dan Schneider to go through. Cam Kaboom nearly pushing these two cars through turn 6. Monumental battling for 5th place. Piero's escaped the wheel-to-wheel action, now being led by the other McLaren of Tim into night, replacing the absent Doctor. as Dan Schneider goes to send one to the inside. Natty a little bit of contact as that leaves the door wide open for Cameron Kaboom to slip one up into 8th place ahead of the McLaren, who drops from 7th to 9th place. Now has Wiggly Style behind him in the rapid Toyota Supra. Cameron running wide through turn 13. That was going to leave him vulnerable to Natty on the inside. Down in towards the final, the penultimate corner, the final proper corner. It's getting all out of shape. Nearly being sent into a spin. Born Evil leads the field away. Play Duchess into the pits at the end of lap 6. And really early stop from Play Duchess. He's going to try and take the softs 23 laps in this race. It's going to be a tough job, but the Porsche is good on its tyre wear. And it's not a particularly high dead circuit. Here goes Nat in. Cameron Kaboom nearly touching wheels in the run down towards turn 1, perhaps even touching wheels. A little bit of smoke being kicked up on the apex of the first corner, but Cameron's made the move stick. Natty now down to 8th place, actually maintaining 8th place, but he's got a good run through turn 3, side by side, wheel to wheel with the Lexus to the inside at 4. You're going to have to try something on the outside of 5 to make it stick. Swoops it right round the outside. They're still going to go side by side, wheel to wheel, but look at the time they've lost to the car in front. Dan Schneider already about a second ahead of these two as they're going to go side by side. Natty hugging the apex on the inside of turn 6. But Cameron Kaboom's catches it round the outside. These two still side by side down the back straight. Wiggly Style licking his lips at the racing when he's watching in front, although he can't quite find a way through. Left, right, down the middle. Where can Wiggly try and find a way through? Natty on the inside, and Cameron Kaboom is going to try and hold it around the outside. These two have been wheel to wheel for pretty much an entire lap, 1 minute and 7 seconds to be exact. But Cameron Kaboom wins that battle for 7th place. Natty drops to 8th ahead of Wiggly Style in 9th. But the time that they've lost to Dan Schneider, who's looking for a move on Tim, Wolfie up into 4th place. Tim's got a little bit wide as Cameron Kaboom maintaining 7th place. Tim down to 6th place as he's lost a few positions. Wolfie up into 4th, Dan up into 5th place as they cross the start-finish line to start lap number 8 of 28, with Wolfie up into 4th place and under pressure from Dan Schneider and Tim. Meanwhile, 2 cars behind. Once again, going to go side by side and run down towards turn 1, or is Wiggly Style going to try and get involved in this battle as well? 6 cars making their way through 2 corners. You can see on your screen as Piero keeping up with Toussaint, who is now running in 2nd and 3rd place. Wolfie's gone a little bit deep. That could put him under pressure from Dan Schneider in the run down towards turn 6. Tim looking for a move on the Porsche as well. For those watching the stream live, please let me know if the quality of my mic is still okay. Just trying something different with my mic. It's not been great, I noticed, in the last stream. Tiger running in 10th place. He's hit the outside wall on the right hand side. He's got damage to the front suspension, front bumper. As Tim goes to send one to the inside of Dan Schneider, gets up into 5th place, or I know he does get up to 5th place ahead of Dan Schneider, but even just that little one overtake has brought Cameron Kaboom, Natty and Wiggly Style just a little bit closer to the point that they're nearly in the slipstream of the 3 cars in front. Tim's got a good run on Wolfie. He's going to go for a move to the inside in towards turn 14, penultimate corner, which I really want to call the final corner because it's the final proper corner. Someone's spinning, someone's sideways. Contact between Wiggly and Cameron Kaboom, who dropped it on the exit of the final, the penultimate corner. Wiggly with nowhere to go, absolutely T-boning the side of the Lexus. I mean, we were spectating these guys all the way up here, and you could hear the tyres screaming as Cameron Kaboom dropping it on the penultimate corner. Gravel being kicked up by the Alfa Romeo of Wolfie on the entrance to the first corner. But Tim up into 4th, Wolfie down to 6th, Natty up to 7th, and Wiggly and Cameron Kaboom with their damage repaired, now running in 9th and 8th respectively. An unfortunate collision for Wiggly Style to be involved in, not his fault. Cameron Kaboom dropping it, and such a tight, narrow circuit that just unfortunate for Wiggly Style. Wrong place, wrong time. Meanwhile, Toussaint under pressure from Piero in the McLaren. as they approach the hairpin of turn 9. Behind them, the action still hot and heated. Wolfie now to the inside of Dan Schneider. Still going to go side by side on the exit of the corner, down with the inside line. You'd think he'd have this move stick. Not sure Wolfie's going to be able to hold it round the outside. He's going to do his best though, but it's nearly impossible to hold it round the outside unless you're pretty much already ahead. But even just that little bit of racing action has brought Natty just that little bit closer to now be within the slipstream of the car in front, the Rapid Alfa Romeo. Cameron Kaboom and Wiggly Style have also making up ground on this battle, with Dan and Aston 10th and 11th place, rounding up the final 2 points paying positions, with Mush in 12th place under pressure from Playducci, who's made his stop early on the set of the soft compound tyres. If it's a 2-stop or a long stint on the softs, we'll have to wait and see. But you'd think this should be an easy move from Black Country Mush. Fresh softs against 10-lap-old mediums, 3/10 purple, a 140.6 up in towards turn 1. He's going to launch it to the inside, late on the brakes, heavy on the brakes, and Playducci makes the move up into 12th place. Gets a little bit of sideways action on the exit of the corner for good measures as well. Piero trying to get his way past Hussein here on lap 10, not on this occasion though. Lap 10 currently going through turn 10 for second place in this race. Piero improving his personal best, currently 5/10 off Playducci's fastest lap attempt. The tyre delta between the softs and the mediums not too significant at this circuit, although the softs are about 6/10 quicker, maybe 7/10 quicker I'd estimate. That's kind of the general delta distance between the two compounds. And of course, when we get to more high tyre deg and more technical circuits, then we'll see the soft compound tyres be more significantly quicker. We might see different strategies. But yeah, tyre wear at this circuit is not particularly high, so it begs the question, why do unnecessary laps on the medium compound tyres when you hit early for the softs? Which is why I think what I think Playducci is attempting, getting off the mediums as quick as possible, and if he can take those soft tyres to the end, he will still be quicker than guys on fresh medium tyres. That seems to be the delta that the tyre physics have on this game. Worn soft compound tyres are quicker than fresh medium tyres, or about equal with fresh medium compound tyres, and the same applies to the hard compound tyres. Whether we'll see the hard compound tyres this season, we'll just have to wait and see. They appeared 3 times in season 6 last season. I believe they appeared 3 times. No, they appeared twice. Once at Interlagos, where it was a mix between the medium hard and the medium soft, and Bonival making the debut of the hard compound tyre at the Spanish Grand Prix for rounds 2 or 1 or 3. 2, there was 2 besides the Nürburgring. I think those were the only 2 times the hard tyres were used. I was expecting them to be used at Tokyo Expressway. We've got a car in the pit. It's Marcus Armstrong into the pits off the medium compound tyres. The second driver into the pits for a scheduled pit stop. With 50 litres of fuel left in the car. He's going to drop behind Aston, Dan, Dutchy and Black Country Mush, but that's a formality. They have not made their pit stops yet in this race. Going back to the hard compound tyres, they are pretty useless if tyre wear is not set anything above 7. But I was expecting them to be used in Tokyo Expressway, drivers going from medium to the hard, rather than going medium soft when tyre wear was set to times 5. However, everyone decided to do 2 or 3 laps with punctures, to take the medium tyres the distance to use the softs instead. Fair enough. I was also guilty to doing that, committing to that strategy. And it was a strategy that worked because everyone done it and finished fairly highly up the grid. What a race that was. We should go back to Tokyo. Tokyo Expressway not on the calendar this season. Has been replaced by another Japanese track. Well, it could have been replaced by any track, to be honest, because it's not like there's one or two tracks different. We've got a completely new calendar. The Nürburgring and Spa, and Deep Forest Raceway, the only three tracks to maintain their contract for season 7 per se, as Toussaint and Pierre pull into the pits from 2nd and 3rd place. Tim Dan Schneider follow them in, maybe reacting to the possible undercut from Natty. Wolfie and Cameron Kaboom staying out in 6th and 7th will be promoted to 2nd and 3rd, running in a podium position. Now it's going to be interesting. Where is Play Dutchy in all of this? He should come out ahead. Indeed he does. What about Natty? Where's he? Running in 13th, down to 13th. We have lost a couple of drivers in this race. You see Toussaint's leaving the pit lane. Wiggly Style still in the pits. It looks like Natty might have lost a little bit of time, because there's Dan Schneider with a 3-second time penalty. But if anything, Natty might be closer, because he is now behind Toussaint, where Toussaint was running in 2nd place. He's now behind Piero, so Piero putting in maybe less fuel than the Mercedes. You can see it on the fuel meter in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen. Toussaint's got about, 80% of fuel. Piero with 75% fuel. Is that enough to take him the remaining 16 laps in this race? We'll have to wait and see. Bon Evil going through the final corner, leading this race. Is he going to pull into the pits at the end of this lap, or stay out on those medium tyres? Looks like he's more than comfortable to stay out for another lap on those medium tyres. I think the interesting thing is going to be where Cameron Kaboom and Wolfie filter out when they make their pit stop, which I think should be due this lap. Due for Wolfie, but Cameron Kaboom staying out for one more. Black Country Mush up into 5th place, yet to make his pit stop. Could be under pressure soon from the chasing herd of Piero, Tim, Dan Schneider, who serves his 3-second time penalty for crossing the pit lane white line. Someone's into the pits. It's Wolfie. Where's he going to filter out into the circuit? Looks like Dan Schneider's going to go on by. Looks like Natty's going to go by as well. Is he going to be behind Wiggly Style? The car leaves the pit lane now. This is going to be close between himself and Wiggly. There goes the green Alfa Romeo, but the grey and orange WS Toyota Supra goes through up into 10th place. Wolfie down to 11th place. Black Country Mush yet to make a pit stop, so it is probably going to be about 10th. Cameron Kaboom staying out as well. And Cameron Kaboom was about a second ahead of Wolfie before he made his pit stop. Cameron Kaboom will be a... What am I trying to say? Strategy is kind of interesting if you break it down on paper. Obviously what happens on paper is never what happens in reality. But the undercut attempt is so powerful in the sense that you can pit for a fresh soft compound tyres and be about maybe a second quicker than someone who stayed out on the worn mediums. But then the drivers who stay out for longer spend less time in the pit lane refueling. Because Cameron Kaboom into the pits now only has to put in 14 laps of fuel. Whereas drivers like Dutchy, who pitted on lap 6, would have had to fuel for 22 laps of fuel. The Dutchman now making his way down the start-finish straight, back up into 2nd place. Ahead of Cameron Kaboom, the tyres being changed on the Lexus. The Mercedes, Black Country Mush, also into the pit lane. Tim Piero will be promoted up to 4th and 3rd. Toussaint up into 5th. Cameron Kaboom leaves the pit lane now. And it's behind Dan Schneider. but ahead of Style and Wolfie. Looks like our closest battle. Looks like our closest battle on track at the minute is between Natty and Dan Schneider. Let me know, guys, in the comments. Everyone watching live, who do you think is going to win this race and who's got the best livery on the grid? Meanwhile, Natty defending from 6th place. Dan's trying to work it round the outside, wide onto the marblestone. That's not going to help his cause to get himself up an extra position. A heavy tailwind down the back straight, a headwind into one. Could help with braking opportunities down towards the first corner, but it's Natty who maintains 6th place ahead of Dan Schneider in 7th. Will be under pressure from Cameron Kaboom and a fresh set of soft compound tyres. But Natty not with a good run up the hill, not what he needs if he wants to keep 6th place. Bon even in the chat saying it's more importantly, who do I think has the best livery? Well, biasly, I would say myself, obviously, with my amazing livery editor. Shout out. I just done the sponsors on my car, but my livery was made, especially tailor-made. Who do I think has the best livery? I don't know. We'll get back to that in a minute because we might have a position change. I should have done this in pre-season, actually. I think I did do it in pre-season. Not sure. Natty defending to the inside ahead of Dan Schneider, trying to work his way round the outside, but he's wide onto the gravel. Not sure if there's contact now or not. But Dan Schneider dropped back a couple of tenths to the McLaren in front. Now bringing Cameron Kaboom into the equation as well. Toussaint trying to close the gap to Tim and Piero in front as Dutchy getting a little bit of wear on those soft compound tyres. Barneville still staying out for another lap. Who I think has the best livery? I do like the black and green of Toussaint's livery this year. The livery, the two BCI cars running the black and green as Barneville pulls into the pits. Dutchy's livery does. It's simple, it's nice, black and orange works well, it stands out. Tim with the nice Fanatec livery, blue and orange, two colours that kind of contrast each other but work really well on the livery that Tim's put together. So we do have a really nice selection of liveries, but it's really tough to pick one. But Bonneville into the pits, it would have been easy to scroll up rather than down in that sense, but he rejoins the track side by side with Clay Dutchy, who goes on through into the lead of the race. A 10-lap undercut. Can he take those soft tyres to the end of the race? If you think about it, he's been on those tyres for 11 laps and he's got 11 more laps to do. So based on paper, that rear right is going to be about 90% worn. If you zoom in to the pixels, it's probably about 45% worn halfway through the stint. It's going to be a tough job. Unless he's on a two-stop. Wolfie running in 10th place. The same happened in Austria last week with Wolfie. He was running in the top 6, I think it was, but then the second stint it just seemed to drop off the pace. Not sure how. What's happened. Well, maybe just the Alfa Romeo not working the soft compound tyres as Wolfie was able to on the mediums. But do we have a position change? I think we do. Natty now down to 8th place and has damage to the front right suspension and bumper. And that's dropped him down behind Cameron Kaboom and Dan Schneider. I saw something flicker on the leaderboard. And it's front damage, and look at the speed difference between damage and no damage. Behind, Wiggly Style doing the same speed as Natty, and Natty's in the slipstream. The damage quickly repaired as they get towards turn 1. Meanwhile, we might have a change of position for the lead of the race. Bon Evil in the rapid Alfa Romeo on fresh soft compound tyres, fighting up against Play Dutchy on worn soft compound tyres and the supposedly slower Porsche, although the Porsche struggles in straight line speed, although I'd say it's better, more suited to the corners, high downforce circuits, such as next week when we head to Brands Hatch. Dutchy defending the inside line. It's not a competition. Bon Evil swoops round the outside before we get to the braking zone of turn 8, but I don't think Play Dutchy was particularly interested in spending too much time fighting for that position. Three-way fight for 6th place. It's about to be a 5-way fight, potentially. Cameron Kaboom purple to the middle sector, Wiggly Style and Wolfie closing in on the 3 cars in front, led by Dan Schneider. Toussaint trying to close the gap to Tim in 4th place. Piero running in a final podium position, but Play Dutchy strategy, whatever's happened, not too sure whether he tried to go to the end or whether it's a scheduled 2 stop, is into the pits at the end of lap 18. Is probably likely for another set of the soft compound tyres. He's been on them for 12 laps. He's going to go for the final 11 laps on a set of the softs. It's a little splash and dash on the fuel. Drops down to 10th place ahead of Black Country Mush, but behind Wolfie, Wiggly and Cameron Manati, who are going side by side through turn 3. The McLaren and the Lexus, they haven't been separated all race after spending an entire lap wheel to wheel. Natty late on the brakes, controlling the inside line for turn 5. Cameron Kaboom's going to try and set himself up, but gets out of shape on the exit of 5 in the run down towards 6. You can see the Italian flag on the rear window of the McLaren. Special livery for the Italian Grand Prix. The only Italian race on this season's calendar. Yes, we have 3 races in America, 2 in Japan to follow, the only circuits that have more than one, so the only countries that have more than one race on this calendar. Look at that, 5 cars in one camera shot here on lap 19 after 33 minutes of racing. And to be perfectly honest, the top 10, not really separated by all that much. Bon Evil puts in a lap that's the first into the 1 minute 39s. It's 1:39.947 compared to the 1 minute 40.4. Piero's previously set in 2nd place, Tim in 3rd place. But if you look on the mini-map, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cars all on the start-finish straight after 20 laps of racing, 33 minutes of action. I just got this feeling that it's going to go down to the wire. Sardegna has been a track that's never disappointed us in the past in GT Sport. Makes its Gran Turismo 7 debut. But whether it's forwards or backwards, you can always guarantee action on this track. I believe we first went to this track in Season 2. Skipped it in Season 3. It returned backwards in Season 4. And then was absent in Season 5. No, it was here in Season 5 when we went to all 3 Sardegnas at once. So it's a track that goes on every other calendar, it seems. If Cameron Kaboom wants to make another position, we'll have to get ahead of the defensive Marcus Armstrong. Down in towards the hairpin of turn 9, through the kinks of 10 and 11 and 12. All of these right-handers contributing to the corner numbers at this circuit. You can see the different lines being taken from Cameron Kaboom. Antonati in 6th and 7th place. Cameron Kaboom just trying to duck out of the dirty air. So keep relatively close behind. McLaren in front. Meanwhile, Toussaint running in 4th place. That's the new personal best. personal best for a lot of drivers on the most recent laps. I think we're at that stage with the low fuel and still relatively fresh soft compound tyres. And look at this, Wiggly Star, Wolfie on the back of this train. Played actually going through turn 1 now. Race leader Bon Evil through turn 6. Only 5 corners separating the top 10. And if we ride on board with someone going through turn 6, that's only about 30 seconds, 35 seconds separating the top 10. But still relatively close. You can see the cluster of arrows on the mini-map in the top right corner of the screen. If you're new to these GT7 streams, along the bottom we have all the drivers' telemetry. We can see the tyre wear, the fuel, the grip meter, their speed, their throttle inputs, their braking inputs, the assist, and damage to Cameron Caboom, as you can see by the flashing red lights in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen, indicating suspension and bumper damage, which has been repaired. Damage has been put on light for this season and the last. The only 2 seasons that we are running in light damage. Doesn't change the fact of how sensitive the damage model is. It's the same as heavy, although it repairs itself after 30 seconds. Reason why it was on light for season 6, because when the season started, if you brushed the wall, scraped it, kissed it, gave it a little stroke, you got damage. The damage model was pretty broken. Then they fixed it, and then we were like, you know what, we'll just keep it so it's fair for everyone. Wiggly Star making moves on the slower Cameron Caboom after the damage has been repaired on the Lexus. The Toyota now up into 7th place, and will start the hunt for Marcus Armstrong with 6 laps to go. Wiggly out of shape has put him under pressure. Defensive to the inside as Cameron Caboom now under pressure from Wolfie, who's making up moves now, trying to look for an extra position to the inside. Cameron Caboom almost being pushed into the wall. Might have been forced into the wall as Wolfie makes a move up into 8th place, and has got played actually closing in on these cars in front. We ride on board in the cockpit of Cameron Caboom as they make their way in towards turn 9. The mountains in the background, but fine margins, kissing the inside wall in the apex of turn 9. The commitment up the hill through turns 11 and 12. Left-hander at 13, a really easy corner to go wide or hit the inside wall. But we've got a 3-way fight now for 7th place on our hands with 7 laps to the end of the race. Quickly going back to the damage situation, and we're keeping it on lights for now, for this season at least as well. Not only are the servers a little bit dodgy, but there are no safety cars, so if you do get damaged, your race is pretty much over. Wiggly Star defensive to the inside at turn 1, under pressure from Wolfie, who's left the door wide open for Cameron Caboom to slip one up the inside and up into 8th place. Play Dutchy now joining the back of the train. Whether he's been invited to the party or not, he's firmly on the scene, looking to try and claw back as much points as he can after a strategic error in this race. Up front, Marcus Armstrong trying to keep up with Dan Schneider. You can see Toussaint in the same camera shot as Tim Piero making his way through the hairpin of turn 9, but back down to the 4-way fight for 7th place. Lap 23 of 28. Strap yourselves in, ladies and gentlemen. Are we going to see any moves down at the hairpin? Here's one, played actually to the inside, makes contact with Cameron Caboom, who's forced wide. Dutchy now up into 8th place, 2 positions, 1 corner, but contact with the Lexus now leaves the Japanese manufacturer side by side with the Italian Alfa Romeo. But the Irish driver ahead of the Brits as Dutchy's off into the wall with damage to the front suspension and bumper. That's going to leave him vulnerable to Wolfie, who's going to send one up the inside. Nearly makes contact with the rear left tyre. Dutchy out of shape after dipping a wheel on the gravel, facing the barriers on the left hand side of the circuit.
not much separating these three cars in the battle for 8th place. This is the bright orange Porsche ahead of the Lexus, and the Alfa Romeo could be, will be vulnerable in towards turn 1. We ride on board with the rear wing of Play Dutch. You can see the herd of cars, 3 wide in towards the first corner, with Play Dutchy in the middle of them all, but latest on the brakes. The Dutchman maintains the position ahead of Cameron Kaboom and Wolfie. 907. Black Country Mush running at 11th ahead of Aston in 12th place, after we've had a couple, 2 or 3 disconnects and retirements from this race. Back to the front runners. Dan Schneider in 5th ahead of Natty in 6th place. McLaren keeping up with the Porsche. The dying embers of this race. Wooden Style has entered gap. Play Dutchy and the cars behind him after the squabbles for 8th place that took place in the final sector. Oliver with a new fastest lap, a 1 minute 39.7 on it in this race. Nothing has stopped him is on to claim maximum points, probably the first time for anyone claiming maximum points from a sprint race. We'll have to wait and see. For anyone watching this stream before Friday's race at Spa, actually, I just want to make a quick announcement. Make sure to keep an eye out in the Discord and PlayStation chat to see any announcements about the track. I wanted it to be a night to day race, having qualifying on the night and the race would start at night and end in the day, but I'm aware that's only available on the 24-hour circuit, and the last time we went to that track it glitched, so keep an eye out. It is Monday. Tuesday or Wednesday will be the latest you hear about it if you're watching this live before Friday's race at Spa, so keep an eye out in the Discord for any changes to the track. It will still be Spa, but whether it's the 24-hour track or the normal layout, we'll have to I'll need confirmation to see if the pit lane is still glitched. If anyone knows if the pit lane is glitched or not, who's watching the stream live, if you can let me know by the end of the race, that would be amazing. If you're not watching this live and there is no announcement about a track change, you can still let me know if the pit lane is still glitched. What I mean by the pit lane glitch is in online lobbies, if you enter the pit lane, you leave the pit lane on your screen, but on everyone else's screen you're still stuck in the pit lane. So if everyone made a pit stop in a race, you'd be the only one out on track on your screen, and in the spectator cam it would be carnage. There'll be no racing, it will just effectively be a time trial with a lot of contact, although drivers won't be able to see each other, so they won't know about the contact. Speaking of, Play Dutchy making contact with the outside barrier on the exit of turn 13 on lap 25, sideways, perpendicular to the circuit, probably facing the trench at Sardegna B, and is now under pressure from Cameron Kaboom. Dutchy's not really been able to work the soft compound tyres. He's made quite a few mistakes in the second half of this race. He's not going to enjoy me saying that, but Cameron Kaboom now looking for a move on the inside. Are they going to go 3 wide once again? It's a spitting image of a couple of laps to go. Dutchy in the middle, Wolfie trying to hold it round the outside, but Cameron Kaboom, well, it looked like it was an attack. It's now a defence from Wolfie behind. Those two going side by side in the run down towards turn 6 with the 2 cars on such warm, soft compound tyres after Dutchy pitted not too long ago. Dutchy with a tyre advantage, but I think it's fair to say Cameron Kaboom and Wolfie with a slight car advantage for this specific track, and are doing well to keep up with the 4-time GT champion. Dan Snyder's just gapping Natty by about a second, not a second a lap, just by a second. I want to make that clear, not that slow. But we're nearing the end of what has been an action-packed race. After a slow burner in the I've actually forgotten about the Nürburgring. No, we didn't go to the Nürburgring. What was round 1? I've actually forgotten what round 1 was. Austria, that was it. I'm thinking about last season. I was thinking about last season's race. I haven't gone to the Nürburgring yet. Nürburgring is round 5, I believe. how could I forget about Austria? What a race! What a race in Austria, and what a race at, oh dear. That was mid like hiccup. Sounded like I was being sick. What a race that was at the Red Bull Ring. What a race we've got here at Sardegna A. Two tracks that never fail to provide action and entertainment for all you lovely viewers. Apologies about the silence. My throat does need rehydrating after an hour and a half of, it's not even an hour and a half, it's 45 minutes plus 20 minutes of racing action. The feature race being slightly shorter than the usual time that it would be run. We did have to compensate for a sprint. Can't expect drivers to race for an hour and a half. So 20-minute sprint followed by roughly 40 to 45 minute feature race. This race has gone on for slightly longer because it's worked best with how I wanted the strategy to play out in this race. So it ended up being about 48 minutes, but that doesn't matter too much. Bonneville starts the final lap of the race. Piero in second place, Tim in third, taking up the final podium position. I don't think we're going to see many position changes, although we might see one for seventh place. Movie Star under pressure now from Play Dutchy, running in 8th place on a fresh set of soft compound tyres. Gavra Kaboom in 9th ahead of Wolfie in 10th, who's just dropped off the back of the Lexus in the last lap or two. I think he made a mistake. Look at that, 1:42.5 on the last lap, 2 seconds off his personal best. But it's been a really great race. We've had action, we've got carnage, we've had a lot. It has certainly settled down since the first few laps, but as we make our way through to the top of the field, Buoyantly Evil started on pole position in the Red Bull Ring but couldn't quite convert. It looked like a similar story to season 6 when he started on pole in the Nürburgring and started on pole in Spain but couldn't convert those two results. Well, it's a new season, it's a new Bonneville perhaps. Started on pole in the feature race, dropped down to 7th in the sprint with the reverse top 7, and by lap 3 he was up into first place once again. He won the sprint with the fastest lap. He rounds the penultimate corner in the lead of the race with the fastest lap of the race. Has led every single lap of the race apart from the pit stop phase where Dutchy pitted early and took the lead. But Bonneville's first to see the checkered flag here in Sardegna and wins the Sardegna, the Italian Grand Prix. Piero struggled in the sprint, but he's put that behind him and takes home second place for the McLaren. Tim on his debut for the GT7 League in third place, had a Toussaint in fourth, Dan Schneider in fifth, just beating Natty in sixth. Play Dutchy got ahead of Wiggly Style for 7th place, Wiggly in 8th, Cameron Kaboom will finish in 9th. Wolfie crosses the line in 10th place. Black Country Mush has seen it all in this race, that's for certain. Feels like so long ago since the lap 2 incident, but 28 laps later we'll come across the line. Teammates with Piero finish in 11th place as Aston in the Ford GT. It's been a tough race for him, unable to find the lap times in the Ford after it lost a lot of power in the last VOP update. But last but not least, give your respects to the beautifully sounding Ford GT as it roars to the checkered flag and claims 12th place, just missing out on the points. And we cut the celebrations to an end as we're just going to flick through all the drivers in this race. Let's remove everything from the screen. There you go, Mush in 11th. We work our way up through the field. What an action-packed race that was. Lots of action throughout the race and beautiful cars, amazing drivers. We really did have it all. But the camera will eventually stop scrolling up
to the race winner. Which angle's best? Let's go for this side. We can get the marshes and the mountains in the background as well. There is your race winner, Born Evil 99. Maximum points from this race. 1 point for pole, 2 points for the fastest lap, 10 points for the sprint, and 25 points for the win. That sounds like a pretty chunky points total, if you ask me. Thank you everyone for watching. I hope you have enjoyed it as much as I did. Join us join us for the next stream at Brands Hatch. Will be coming out in the next couple of days. Then if you're watching this before Friday the 21st of April, we have round 4 of championship, where are we? Spa. I was talking about it earlier. We're at the beautiful Spa-Francorchamps in Germany. Belgium. Oh my days. Germany, Portugal, Belgium. I was thinking of the Belgian flag, and then I just saw the colours black, yellow, and red, and then said Germany. I don't know where I got Germany from. Must have been talking about the Nürburgring. Anyway, we are at Spa in Belgium, not Germany, for round 4. Whether it's the 24-hour layout or not, I don't know. I'll have to see if the pit lane's broken or not. I completely forgot that the other layout of Spa doesn't have a day to night transition. Doesn't really matter, it's the same track, different pit lane. Join us next time for more action-packed racing. I've been X-Natty G. Hope you have enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Until then, goodbye.